I have Chris Collins African Rooibos. So this is a tea fragrance, or it's supposed to mimic Rooibos tea, and it's good. This one's really good. I like it. A 50 ml is $175. Um, my girlfriend really likes this fragrance. Out of all the new samples I've got, this is her clear favorite. I think I have a bunch of zoologists, some Comedes gargons, Narquise sample. This was her favorite, Sarah Baker Atlanti. Um, and yeah, I out of a bunch of samples I bought, I would say this is probably the better one. I do like Comedes gargons too a lot, but this is a good fragrance. It came out in 2021. The perfumer is Sidonie Lancashore. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sure I'm probably not. Um, she's made a bunch of fragrances. Yeah, I would just look them up. A bunch of fragrances, but this one probably the best I've smelled from her. There is an intense version of this. It's almost double the price, $325 for a 50 ml. I would just avoid that. It just seems like all these intense versions, they're trying to capture that market of people that are willing to pay three or $400 for 50 mLs. And I wouldn't even support that. And if you look at the notes for the intense fragrance, it's vanilla and ambroxan added to the original notes. I feel like with a lot of these intense and extracts, you could just buy vanilla and ambroxan, mix it, and spray it on the original. And in my opinion, a lot of times vanilla and ambroxan can just ruin dry downs of fragrances. Like, okay, you're just getting the same old boring vanilla or ambroxan fragrance. Anyway, this one doesn't need anything added to it. It dries down nicely. So what I get in the opening, I get this big citrus bergamot. Kind of maybe smells like grapefruit a little bit too, but bergamot is what's listed. I get musk with that and a little bit of a warm spice. After about 5 or 10 minutes or so, it dries down to this red fragrance, almost like something in the 2010s made by Lacoste, like a or Polo, like this red bottled vibe. It mixes in with the spice and musk and the bergamot, and then soon after that, the bergamot kind of dissipates, and I'm left with that red, musky spice vibe. And it almost reminds me of Hawaiian punch, like that red, juicy drink smell a little bit. The power of suggestion. Robius tea is red. Um, but it does smell kind of like Hawaiian punch, and it's not something I really like, but the spices balance it out. And then, thankfully, for me anyway, the Hawaiian punch fades and it becomes this more tea like scent, this spicy musk, slight amber fragrance almost. Still with the red vibe, but not as juicy or fruity. So that's what I get from this fragrance. And then on the dry down, it becomes this orangey cedar scent, almost like Byretto's super cedar, but instead of that sweet musk that they use, it's more of a dry musk, which I prefer. That's sweetened by maybe just a little bit of tonka bean or something, but it's not just a straight sweet musk. That's what I get from this fragrance. The actual notes listed are black pepper, cardamom, and bergamot on the opening. The mid is Robius tea and orris root. And the base is cedar, immortelle, and tonka bean. So yeah, I don't get black pepper. Cardamom, maybe, it just adds this warm spiciness. Robius tea, I get the redness. I would say they're probably using some kind of berry accord or some kind of synthetic berry accord, red berries. Um, the Immortel, I would say it's in there, but the way it's blended, it's mixed with the orris root, this Immortel, I think, and it kind of comes off as like a spicy accord, maybe just a light cumin or something. I mean, I'm sure there's some spice in here, a little bit of cumin, but I can just imagine that Immortel and orris kind of mimicking a spice or something. And the cedar, it's something I didn't pick up at first too heavily, but after I looked at the note listing, it's like, yeah, there's definitely a cedar in there. So it's blended nicely. There's definitely a cedar in there. And once I looked at the notes, I get this orangey cedar smell from it. But before that, it's kind of just like a light amber, spicy red fragrance. But once I knew there were orris and cedar, it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely in there. But I'm still getting like a light amber spice musky vibe. But I also get that cedary orris vibe at the same time. Overall, it's a good tea scent. If you like tea fragrances, I would try this out. As far as more modern scents, I think this is one of the more interesting, better scents. Like it's definitely modern because of that clean, musky amberiness, but it's also unique because it's got that dry orris mixing with the immortelle and the cedar, and it's also not too dry. Like it's sweetened just enough with the tonka bean. I think the balance here of sweetness and dryness is close to perfect. It makes it modern, but it's not overly sweet. I'm thankful they didn't throw in a bunch of vanilla in here or too much tonka bean. It's it's done well. I feel like too many brands, too many fragrances over sweeten a fragrance to make it mass appealing. This one didn't do that. It remains modern, clean, but unique at the same time, which is a good thing to look for in fragrances if you want something more modern. Yeah, it's good. The Robius tea, that red berry accord, it's not something you see mixed with the other notes, black pepper and orris, cedar, immortelle. It's what makes this fragrance unique. Even if you didn't have that, this would be a good fragrance. Yeah, even if you didn't have the redness in this fragrance, it would be good. It would probably come off as like a light powdery amber fragrance or something like that, and they'd probably put something in it to strengthen it, like a more pronounced amber accord or something with vanilla or something. But overall, I haven't tried anything from this brand. I just bought this fragrance because I hear a lot of people talk about it. It's got good reviews, and yes, it is good. I watched um I watched an interview on Lucky Scent's YouTube channel with the brand owner, Chris Collins, I believe. And I think he worked for YSL or something like that. And he kind of did the marketing for the fragrances, I believe. So he understands marketing, and he wanted to start his own brand if he's already kind of doing it for YSL. I could be wrong. Maybe it's Tom Ford or something he worked for. But and he seemed like he knew fragrances a decent amount. I've watched other um brand owners on like Lucky Scents podcast. It's a good podcast. I would recommend it. And a lot of times I just think these brand owners like they enjoy fragrances and they know a decent amount, but it's like have they ever smelled classic fragrances, or is their knowledge up there enough to, run a brand? I feel like a lot of people just on base notes have so much knowledge they could run a decent brand. But so yeah, it always makes me skeptical of a lot of these brands. It's almost like I feel like a lot of times good brands have a lot of knowledge about fragrances, and that translates into the brand having good fragrances. But yeah, but anyway, this fragrance, regardless of all that, is a good fragrance, and I'll probably be buying more samples from the brand to see are there other fragrances this good. I'll stay away from the intense stuff, but yeah, let me know what you think if you smelled Chris Collins African Robius. It's good. Good tea scent, good orris cedar, good, just good all around. Yeah. That's all I got to say about this fragrance.